to another lesson that is part of the TI-30XB student course. In this lesson, we'll be covering the function table and its use for quadratic functions. So I have a quadratic function y equals 2x squared minus 3x plus 1, and I would like to get some information in order to do a nice graph of that. So what I'm going to do is use the table function to get some coordinate points for me. So I go to the table function and I type in 2, and the X button is down here to the left of the 4, X, and I can use the squared button to help me out, minus 3, lots of X again, down next to the 4, plus 1, and enter. Then ask me where I would like to start my X list from. And I'm going to start that at -3. So I make sure you use the negative button and then I press enter. Then ask, would you like to go up in steps of 1 unit is the default, and that's usually a pretty good idea. So let's start with that, and then it will auto generate a list. So we press enter and enter on OK. So I can see that when X equals -3, the Y value is 28. And I can scroll through my list. When X equals -2, my Y value is 15. When X equals -1, my Y value is 6. And I can keep going in either direction. So I can go back this way and I can see those numbers are getting very large in the Y, while my increase in the X there. And I can go this way and get to X equals 0, which is a very significant point because when X equals 0, I have my Y intercept where the graph crosses the Y axis. And I can see that's at the point 0, 1. And I can keep scrolling through and go, oh, another exciting point. When X equals 1, my Y value is 0. So that's an X intercept. Now it's a quadratic function, so there could be 2 X intercepts. Let's see if we see another one. Now here we go. So my Y values go from 6 to 1 to 0, so they're going downwards, but now they're going up again, 3, 10, 21, and so on. So somewhere back here is my turning point. Is it at 1, 0? Well, I don't think it might be. So let's have a closer look at the table. So let's go back to the table and just press enter here. And let's change our step. If I go here and instead of having a unit of 1, I put in a unit of 0.5, I can still go auto and OK, press enter. What I see now in the right-hand column is immediately I can see there are 2 X intercepts. So at X equals 0.5, Y is 0, and at X equals 1, Y is 0. So I know those are my X intercepts, and knowing everything we do about quadratic functions, our turning point will be halfway between those. So I've used a step of 0.5. What I'd like to do is halve that to 0.25. So let's go to our table and press enter and change that to 0.25 and press enter, and here we are. And what we can see is we've got our Y-intercept there, got another coordinate point, 0.25, 0.375. We've got an X-intercept at X equals 1/2, and we have our lowest point on the graph. X equals 0.75, y equals negative 0.125. If I go on to x equals 1, we get back to that other x-intercept. And we can see our values increase again that direction. And if I go up through the list, we see that increase again. What you might have noticed now is we see that those values are now symmetrical around that turning point. That if I go the same number of steps away from 0.75 in the positive direction as I do in the negative direction, I'm going to get the same y values. And that's because we have an axis of symmetry in a parabola. Well, that's it for this lesson.